But we have an incredible next speaker for you. And sir, we've set the bar very low so you can just leap right over it with your remarks. It's going to be fantastic. But we are very pleased to have in our midst for 2 years in a row now, the Attorney General of the great state of Oklahoma, General Gentner Drummond. He is a 7th-generation Oklahoman with nearly 30 years of legal experience, including work as an assistant DA and founding his own law firm in Pawnee and Osage counties. In addition to his legal career, General Drummond is a longtime rancher, banker, and businessman. He is a U.S. Air Force veteran and among the most decorated Oklahomans to serve in the Persian Gulf War. In January of 2023, General Drummond was sworn in as Oklahoma's 20th Attorney General, and since taking office, he has prioritized combating crime, ensuring government transparency, and improving tribal relations. Gentlemen of Boise State, please give a rousing welcome to the Attorney General of Oklahoma, Gentner Drummond.
Good afternoon, Boise State. You are the elite of our state. And as I look out there, I know already you've elected just yesterday your governor and attorney general and other state elected officials and your city officials. So congratulations. You are on a remarkable path in a wonderful state. And I'm here to encourage you and give you some thoughts. And at the end, I'll be delighted to answer some questions. My path began just 30 miles from here in Hominy, Oklahoma, along Highway 20. And so many of you are from rural communities throughout the state of Oklahoma. What I want to encourage you to, with these words is there is no limit to what you can do coming from where you are, living in this great state. I graduated from Hominy, studied agricultural economics at Oklahoma State. I'd made a promise to my grandfather that I would serve in the military, and I can remember at OSU, I took my testing for Army and Air Force ROTC, and the Air Force Army guys said, hey, come join our team, and you can walk in the dirt and live in the sand, and the Air Force guys came and said, hey, come join our team, and you can fly fighter jets and sleep in a hotel and be fed hot food. And I thought, you know, that's the path I'm going to take. So I ended up graduating from Oklahoma State and went to flight school. Everybody in my flight school class had a master's in engineering, and I had an ag econ degree from Oklahoma State. And as they were thinking about building the engine and the avionics, I was just thinking about riding a horse back on our cattle ranch. And that horse, when it squeal, you know, you let up on it. And when it pants a little bit, you give it a little bit more gas. Same thing with the fighter jet. Ended up graduating at the top of my class. I got to fly F-15s for 8 years in the Air Force, culminating in the Gulf War. And along that path of those 8 years of military service, I learned a lot of things about me, a lot of discipline, a lot of opportunity. Then following military, I've studied law out east at Georgetown, worked on the Hill, came back to Oklahoma, raised my family, and built companies. And so when I bought a little bitty bank in Pawhuska, now it's a big bank in 17 communities, and bought a little wireless retail company, now it's a big wireless retail in 9 states, title and abstract companies in 3 states, and all along staying engaged in political activity. Now, several in this room are 18. And if you didn't register to vote, it's too late, but you can register again in the fall and get on that cycle. And many of you are 17, and you'll have an opportunity to register to vote. But you got to be engaged in your community. Coming back here, built those companies, and then my time to run for office was 2018. I'd made another promise to my grandfather I wouldn't enter politics until all of my children were grown. So my wife and I have 6 grown children. They're all married. We have 7 grandkids. And so I'm looking across this room, and I'm so excited about the future as I look at you guys. You're going to make great things for Oklahoma. In 2018, I ran, and I lost by 271 votes. I ran again in 2022, and I won. And as your Attorney General, I have made it my commitment to do the right thing regardless of the cost. And we've taken on Chinese and Mexican cartels in the state of Oklahoma. When I took office, we had over 12,000 cultivating black market marijuana and pressing fentanyl precursors into fentanyl tablets, underground gaming, human trafficking, and the like. And we have shut down 10,550 illegal marijuana grow facilities, driving out organized crime so we can have a future here in Oklahoma. Similarly, big companies come into Oklahoma and take advantage of Oklahoma. You've got to have a defender that takes them on. As the chief legal officer for the state, I protect the consumer. And so we've fought and pushed back on these big pharmacy benefit managers and big out-of-state insurance companies, holding accountable people in Oklahoma that would break the law. Right now in Oklahoma City at trial is a gentleman named Brent Swadley who took advantage of Oklahoma by $3 to $4 million, and we're holding him accountable. And so you've got to have a gatekeeper as the Attorney General who's unafraid to do the right thing. Now I'm on the ballot to be your governor. You guys are the exception. Each of you came from different backgrounds, some wealthy, some moderate, some poor. Some of European descent, some of African descent, some of Spanish descent, some of Asian descent. But you've accelerated and you've exceeded. And people saw in you leadership capacity that they wanted to recognize. And just listening to the enthusiasm in this crowd, the people who picked our boy state of 2026 did well. And I want to encourage you to give forward as you go forward. And not ever lose sight of the fact that you came from this state, and I want to encourage you to stay in this state to make a difference. We in Oklahoma, I need partners right now to help me right now change the trajectory of this state. We know we're better than 50th in education, but that's how the nation ranks us, 50th in education. You're the exception. Now help me make you the rule. We are 48th in the nation in healthcare, 46th in the nation in mental health. We can do better. I need partners to help me do that. We need workforce development, and we need partnership with our Native American tribes across Oklahoma. If we do these things, then we have an opportunity to do something great in this state. Because you know and I know we are a remarkable state. And what we need in the future are leaders unafraid to make the right call and unafraid to make the hard choices. I want to give you a little story from my military experience that kind of highlights that. But what you're going to hear in this story are the values that are instilled in you by your parents and grandparents, by your teachers and your faith leaders. My time in the Air Force happened to coincide with the Gulf War. Just like a professional athlete, we're watching Thunder play, right? Those men are in their late 20s, early 30s, right? The zenith of an athlete, professional athlete, is equivalent to the zenith of a skill of a fighter pilot, because once you get into your late 30s and 40s, it starts dropping off. I was 28 when the Gulf War began, and I was chosen to be one of 4 mission commanders the first night of the Gulf War. Not because I was the wisest, not because I was the smartest, not because I was the bravest, but because I was at the right place at the right time, prepared with the right skills. And I can remember crossing the border from Saudi Arabia into Iraq with my 4 F-15s and 48 fighter bombers behind me, met with a barrage of anti-aircraft artillery, hundreds of missiles fired at us, MiG-29s out of Baghdad. We defeated, destroyed, and pushed back everything in our path, delivering that strike package to Baghdad. And as they dropped their bombs and all holiness of hell was unleashed on our enemy, I can remember the scores of missiles and bombs being fired at us, and the men doing their job and dropping their bombs and coming off target, and they were led to safety by my number 3 and 4. And I stayed on target as the mission commander until the last was complete, and then I followed them to safety. And as we were headed back to Saudi Arabia at the speed of sound, I was ordered to go back north toward Baghdad. I was targeted on a bandit 100 miles away. I locked him up with my radar, called out his heading, altitude, airspeed, and range. The controller said, "That's your bandit. You're cleared to kill." Clear to kill means clear to kill. I'm at 32,000 feet, 1.3 Mach. I know I can shoot at 45 miles. He blows up at 25 miles. Based on his airspeed and altitude, I know he can shoot me at 14 miles, and I blow up at 8 miles. And applying my Hominy High School math skills, I realized that he would be dead before he could shoot me. I felt very offensive. I broke lock, looked around from 100,000 feet down. I thought, surely he's a decoy to get me in there and they'll kill me. Nobody else in the sky. Couldn't find anybody. Re-engaged him, and by the time I did that, my brain caught up with my jet, and I concluded he's a friendly. He was in my strike package. And instead of going south, he went north, deeper into Baghdad, realized that, oh my, turned around, separated by 100 miles. I told my wingman to drop back. I'm going to run an intercept. He's a friendly. At 45 miles, I didn't shoot, and the controller said, confirm missiles away, and I said, negative. I'm going to run an intercept. I think he's friendly. Immediately, I was ordered to kill. A few seconds later, the voice changed, and I was ordered to kill again. And then a few seconds later, the voice changed a third time, this time authenticating himself as the airborne one-star general in charge of the war, ordering me to kill. I disobeyed 3 direct orders. I ran the intercept. The pilot never flinched. He knew an F-15 was on him. If he flinched, he'd die. He didn't. I rolled up beside a Saudi Tornado pilot from my strike package, who in fact had gotten lost, went deeper into Baghdad, came back. He and I flew to the same airbase, landed. He gave me a very formal bow. He went east, I went west. I pulled into my chocks, met by military police, which I thought was appropriate. Mission commander, first night of the Gulf War, I should be escorted in. They were there to arrest me. And as I'm going into the ready room in handcuffs, I'm thinking, this is not the way this story's supposed to end. I knew I'd done the right thing, but all they knew is that they had a pilot who disobeyed 3 direct orders, and I was arrested. Meanwhile, the man I didn't kill told his commander, who told his commander, and it came across to the U.S. side and down. And as I walked into the ready room, I was met by a 3-star general who said, take off his handcuffs, give him a Distinguished Flying Cross. He didn't kill a Saudi prince. I share that story with you today for this reason. Hominy High School graduate, Oklahoma State graduate, 7th generation Oklahoman, right here, just like you, raised by parents, by educators, by faith leaders who taught me core principles. You have been taught these core principles, many of which we could discuss. The one today is you do the right thing, regardless of the cost. On your life path, you're going to have opportunity to cut a corner, to cheat, to lie, to take advantage of someone, to do something private that you wouldn't do public. You're going to have opportunities to do the wrong thing. But to be men of virtue, to be men of integrity, to be men that are destined to lead our state, to change the trajectory of this state, I encourage you to do the right thing, regardless of the cost. By doing that, you can live a life of integrity. You can raise up the next generation of young men and women with your example, leaning on the examples of the American Legion and volunteers that are here with you today. These men and women love our state, and they love you. And why are they doing that? To make a difference in our communities. Each of you are going to go back changed. Each of you are going to go back encouraged and inspired and equipped to lead. And you know what? Along the way, you're going to fail. You're going to not get that job. You're going to fail that test. You're going to not excel like you wanted to. You're not going to get that scholarship. You're not going to get that girl. You're not going to get this and that and this. And you're going to persevere. Someone who's had the success that I've had has had thousands of losses and failures, but yet we persevere because we are raised in this community to make a difference. And for this state to change its course, I need men like you who are committed to the future of this state. You get educated abroad or here and raise your family here. You work hard, build companies. Among us in this room, we've got future judges, we've got future doctors, we've got future pharmacists, we've got future teachers, we've got future leaders in our home. Even if you're not something spectacular, you're changing the life of the men and women and the boys and girls around you for the better. And only if we do that, if only we have the Boys State class of each year that goes out into our communities and do that, then Oklahoma has a bright future. I'm so proud to be here with you. I'm so proud of what you've accomplished, and I am excited to see what you do and what you become over a course of a lifetime. Thank you so much for honoring me by being here. I'm going to be quiet. If you've got questions, I'd love to answer them. Thank you. First hand up over there.
Where are you pointing at, General?
Right over this gentleman coming to the...
Gentlemen, remember, as we asked of the minority leader and the senator, keep your comments respectful and let your peers discuss freely.
My name is Dane Jensen. I'm from Pawhuska.
Go Huskies.
What's your opinion on the OSSA transfer rules for students? Do you think they're fair?
Say that one more time.
Your opinion on the OSSA transfer rules for students?
Okay, so this is, OSSA, right? You guys know the system that tries to make sure the rules are applied fairly. We have, and you wouldn't know this, but I've sent 3 demand letters to them over the course of the last 3 years because they're obstructing young people from transferring for opportunity. OSSA exists to take the young athlete and cultivate them. And so I think that we need to be liberal in our application of these to let you go to Hominy, where you can be a victor instead of getting your butt kicked every year by the Hominy Bucks.
44-27 this year. Just saying.
All right. How about, let's grab one of the, right there by you, right there, that gentleman.
Hi, I'm Will Thomas from Tuttle, Oklahoma, and I was just curious what it was like opening your own law firm.
Well, so I graduated high in my law school class, and I got an offer in a huge big firm, and I went to work in that huge big firm. But soon, after about 3 years, I realized I was able to originate clients, and I could do this without the structure of a big firm. So I left, and it was a very bold decision to do that, but I wanted the opportunity to excel on my own, and so I did that. And I worked hard, and I was very successful and was able to provide richly for my family. If we can move over here, we've got a young man in the aisle.
Hello, I'm Chase. I'm from Tulsa. As a governor candidate, you're aware, you mentioned earlier, healthcare is a major issue in our state. You said we're ranked 48th. A lot of that's due to a lot of gaps we have in women's healthcare and healthcare in rural areas. I'm just curious what your solutions for that would be if you were elected governor.
Okay, so this is technical, but I'm going to answer it. 6 years ago, we outsourced our Medicaid management to third parties outside the state of Oklahoma. And what that did was that increased our health care cost immediately 15%, and it reduced the payments to our providers. So we have impaired ourselves immediately by doing that. As governor, I will reverse that and bring that back into the Health Care Authority of Oklahoma, where Oklahomans are making decisions for our providers so that we can get them paid quickly and freely and fairly so they can continue to provide services for our state, which we so desperately need. Why don't you come down and we'll, right here, this young man, stand up. There you go. Yeah.
Hi, Mr. Drummond. My name is Gerson Olaya. I'm from Punk City, and I would like to let you know that the budget for the Oklahoma's Promise program has recently faced some financial cuts, and I would like to know what are your plans to improve this program and facilitate a better education for Oklahoma students.
The Oklahoma Promise is a promise that we, the state, are making to our young people. So we have to continue to fund that and make sure that it's robust, because you are our future, and our dollar spent today on you will give us 100-fold in the future. So we'll do that. Up against the wall.
My name is Gunnar Hankey. I'm from Martin City, but my question for you is, what are your top 3 main things that you want to focus on if you're elected governor?
So the 3, I will tell you, it's unequivocal. Education is number 1. The states that have improved in educational measurements had a governor that was all in. And I want to start with daycare, quality daycare, giving teachers a reading, teaching assistant in the classroom to get kids reading by 3rd grade, math proficiency by 4th, but also put a focus on career tech so that every child has an opportunity, every young person has an opportunity to have a skill that can immediately go into the workforce. And that's the first commitment. Second is healthcare, and the third is mental health. We have to have a governor that owns that and gets in front of it. If you'll come down, we'll get this young man on the front, then we'll go back around and catch a few on this side.
General, you got about 6 minutes.
All right.
Mr. Attorney General, I'm Ian Gilliland. I'm from Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'm actually campaigning for you in Tulsa.
Thank you.
And when I was door knocking, a woman came up and asked, why does the Attorney General dislike Governor Stitt so much? And she referenced the Facebook post you made with regards to him potentially running for Senate. So I wanted to ask, why did you think that Governor Stitt is unqualified for the United States Senate?
So the governor and I are friends from 30 years ago. We actually are friends. You've actually represented the governor for a long time. I am a very aggressive attorney general, and I will be a very aggressive governor. And the governor doesn't want to be compared to somebody like me, so he's not supporting me at all. He'd like anybody but Drummond. In response to that, we hold each other accountable at all times. He's auditing my office. I'm auditing healthcare. He wanted to bend the rules on the Senate appointment. I held him accountable. But what we need in the state is an attorney general who plays by the rules and makes everybody else play by the rules. A few more questions. Yes, sir, right here. And speaking, while we're teeing up, Turner, wave for everybody. See Turner, is that good-looking guy? He's one of my staffers. I mean, if you want to go to drummondok.com and say you want to volunteer to work on the campaign, Turner will help coordinate you. We'll put you to work. We'll train you. And you'll be awesome. All right, go right ahead.
I am Parker Shaw from Ardmore, Oklahoma. What is your take on the Molly Miller and Colt Haynes case?
Say that one more time.
What is your take on the Molly Miller and Colt Haynes case?
I'm not familiar with that case. Say the name again.
Molly Miller and Colt Haynes.
Miller? Tell me the background on that case.
So there was a chase that started several years ago that ended in a vehicle crash in the middle of a field where Molly Miller and Colt Haynes got murdered, and we still do not know who was the killer.
Okay, the culprit. Yeah, let me run with that. So in Oklahoma, we have not had anybody deal with cold cases or missing and murdered indigenous people. Right? And that's a blight to the state of Oklahoma. I have formed a division in my office that is devoted to cold cases, to running that to ground, and investigating and finding the culprit and the identity of the victim in missing and murdered indigenous people. Let's work back up toward the back, and then we've got time for a couple more questions. That's good right there, that young man.
Hi, I'm Austin Prather from Claremore, Oklahoma. And I was wondering, you said how you planned on improving young people's education, but how do you plan on improving our education?
Your education?
I like high school education. Sorry.
Classical education. High school education. By making sure you can read proficiently at 3rd grade and math proficiency at 4th grade to give you the opportunity to excel in middle school and high school. But also, and I will tell you, whenever I was in high school, the emphasis was everybody goes to college. But in fact, that's not a good objective. 53% of our young people go to college and half drop out. We need more going into the careers that Career Tech offered, more pipe fitters, welders, electricians, plumbers, CDL drivers, nurse assistants, and hygienists. And with that, we can make a difference in Oklahoma where you can get out and get a certification as an electrician and make $85,000 a year your first year. We need more of that. One more question, then I'm going to have to get out of here.
Sorry, I lost my voice, so it might be a little bad. My name's Samuel Colvin. I'm from Tahlequah, Oklahoma. And you were talking about trying to help with all of the missing people for the indigenous people. But you as, no, I'm not trying to be offensive or anything, but like as a white person, how much of a say do you actually have? Because that all falls under the category of like the Cherokee, the Choctaw, and all those tribes.
So I formed a coalition of all 38 federally recognized tribes and the OSBI and the Office of Attorney General. So the 38 plus the 2 state agencies work together. And I will confess, as one who's not of Native American descent, I don't know what I don't know. And how you treat a dead person in the Cherokee Nation is profoundly different with how you treat a dead body in the Comanche or the Cheyenne Arapaho. So we have to be aware and sensitive to the cultures that live within Oklahoma by having those people at the table to decide what is and is not appropriate. For example, right now, we are externing a body that was buried that we believe was misidentified. More likely than not, that's a Native American person. So we're bringing in the tribes of that area to make sure we handle those bones and that body correctly and appropriately so we can properly identify them. So with that, you guys are awesome. I do want you to be engaged in our community. You guys that are 18 that are registered to vote, vote. Get informed. There's a lot of information you can find out there online, and you're getting to see a lot of candidates along the way. Make hard decisions, be inspired, make a difference in this generation so that Oklahoma can excel into the future. Thank you for your great leadership.
Well, General, we know you are incredibly busy, not only doing your day job, but trying to become possibly the next governor of the great state of Oklahoma. So we really thank you for coming out here. Last year, we made you an honorary staff member, and I'd love to continue that tradition with our 2026 and America's 250th staff pin. And last year, you got one of our delegate shirts, making you part of the Boy State family. This year, we're officializing it a little more, making you an honorary counselor. How about that? And no, he's wearing a suit. He's not going to put it on. Oh, he is going to put it on. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. And it wouldn't be a military or a Legion type opportunity if we didn't have tons of other coins and swag that we want to give you. And since you're wearing the shirt, can we get a selfie with all these guys in the back? All right, yeah, turn around here. All right, here we go. Huh? Well, it's not a selfie if you take it. All right, should we get a picture of us? Perfect.
All right, now we'll do one.
There we go. All right, here we go. Hey, thank you, sir, so much. We really appreciate it. All right. Fantastic. See, aren't you glad you came to Boy State? Yeah. I am too. I'm glad you're here as well.